Farming is all about community, especially in Saskatchewan here. So we wanted to take some time and chat with one of the folks who can give us a first-hand look into what that is like. Jason Leblanc is a farmer, and he farms near Estevan, and today he joins us from Wayward. So Jason, thanks a lot for being here. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how this year went and how harvest has gone for you and the crew?
Well, we had a really good year. We started off good, lots of moisture, and we seeded the crop. Everything went along great, just like everybody else did. Had lots of wind, lots of extreme pressure to get the crop sprayed. But then after that was done, it came along. Everything was coming along fine. But at the end of July, we just ran out of moisture. The tap shut off, and we just didn't get any more moisture, and it become a very, very dry, long, drawn-out harvest for just dryness.
Yeah, and you're farming in a part of the province that can be quite dry, and even on a good year. So, when we talk about sort of other people in that area, would you say that's been a similar experience for folks?
You know, when I grew up in the 80s, it was a very dry area, and then as luck would have, when they built Rafferty Dam, it changed the water patterns, the rain patterns. So we've been in a traditionally wet area for 15 years, and it's been we've had more trouble with excess moisture than drought. But this year, times have changed a little bit, and we're definitely dry at the end of the season.
Well, you've also had a little bit of drama this year, and anybody who operates equipment know that it can be touch and go sometimes. So you had an experience on your farm during harvest that hit a little close to home. Why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah. Well, I farm alongside my dad still. He's 84 years old, and I'm 49, and my two daughters, I have three daughters, but two of them are running combines this year with me, and one is 18 and one is 13. And we were harvesting. We were going around the field just like every other day, and one of the hired hands spotted a bit of a fire burning out in the field, and he called on the radio, and he said, "I see some smoke out in the field." And he's not real up on that type of thing. He's new to us, so he wasn't sure what to think. And called on the radio, and some of the other guys on there started mentioning that it had to be on one of the combines. And we have 5 combines running, and my dad, he spotted it, and he called for one of the girls. He said, "I think you're on fire, you better stop." And I came around the corner right at that time, and our other hired man there, Jake, he called on the radio immediately, and he called for Tracy to stop your combine. You have smoke coming out the back. And I pulled up behind almost immediately and pulled out fire extinguishers. And we opened up the back shields, and the wind was blowing very hard that day, but we opened up the shields. The last thing that I said to her was to get out of the combine now. And we blew the fire extinguisher off on the back, and it didn't look like that much of a fire, just a little one on the back, but we weren't able to get it in less than 30 seconds. By the time I pulled the pin on that fire extinguisher, the entire cab was just an inferno, and it took the whole combine. It was gone within 2 to 3 minutes. It was over.
That's incredible, and a reminder of how quickly something can really get away on you. So, combine fires like that are I wouldn't say they're common, but they're not unheard of either. How can you really prepare for that? Or what do you tell people that are working for you and alongside you about being safe?
We do take safety a little bit serious because there's been other fires in the area down there, and we have fire extinguishers. We have 3 fire extinguishers on each combine. We also have a water truck that follows us in the field, or at least in the area if we're jumping across the road. And normally we have a tractor and disc up our way, but that particular day our disc wasn't right handy where it should have been. But the water truck was, but that fire went so fast that I had the water truck right beside the combine, and we wouldn't have time to put it out.
Yeah, well, it sounds pretty intense, obviously, and glad everybody's okay. But did it rattle the family at all? Did it change the way that you finished up harvest?
Well, that day was extreme winds, and my daughter, she's pretty young, but a very, very good operator. The girls, you tell them what to do. You tell them to go 3 miles an hour, they stay there. They don't push it. They listen. They learn. And they also helped me all through the winter when we were repairing the combine. So they understand the combine, they know how it works. And that particular day, while the fire had come and it went through so fast that it scared her, no kidding. But we didn't give her much time to breathe. We gave her a shovel and told her to go put out. We had lots of little fires all across the field by the time we figured out what was going on, and we didn't give her much time. We told her to get a shovel and start putting the other fires out, and we called the other combines in, and they shaved the ground real low all the way around the one that was on fire. So our idea was to try to give the fire as less fuel as we could give it by shaving the ground, yet staying away at a safe point. And then the one thing we do have in our area is a WhatsApp, and it's a community WhatsApp where you only use it for these kind of things. And all I put on there was, I need help. I got a fire, and the whole neighborhood could see where it was. And within 15 to 20 minutes, the discs started showing up, and lots of good help from the neighbors and the water, and everybody showed up, and they put that fire out. It went across the road and got onto the next half section of land with the discs. They had that out under control. We had lots of water trucks come and put everything out and cooled her down. And the fire department did come. They were called, but by the time they got there, we'd had it out already.
Well, that says a lot about, not only the adoption of technology for something like that I think is becoming more and more prevalent, but, it also speaks to something that is, very traditional around farming and producer communities. And that's the idea of teamwork and dropping everything to help people when it's needed. What would you say to other producers and maybe people who are watching who aren't involved as intimately as agriculture about that community?
Well, my first thing is for any community is to get a WhatsApp or some type of communication where you can just send one message and everybody gets it. We have approximately 45 people on that group chat, and it was so simple. And then the people that are coming communicate with each other, and they say, I'm bringing water. Another one said, I'm bringing a disc. And pretty soon you got 5 guys bringing a disc, and they communicate with each other, and they know exactly what's coming, and they pretty well combat that fire before they even get there. And that's one thing that I'd recommend for any communities to do that. And as bad luck would have it, 2 days after I had my fire, another neighbor had one, and same kind of idea. He had a stone in his combine and lifted up a prairie fire going across the field. He had a lot more acres of damage, but same thing. He put on there, needed help, and everybody could look around the country and see where he was at, and everybody got together. So community support is everything in this situation.
Well, I'm not a fortune teller, but I'd predict you have a lot more people on your WhatsApp next year than you did this year, just by your story, and the quickness of the responses is obviously important to everyone there. One of the things I wanted to talk about a little bit was, the fact that in a year where your story and your experience would be pretty good chatter at some of these farm shows that we're not able to go to this year, and really connect with people in our community, and tell me a little bit about how producers like yourselves are staying connected and offering that support and visiting and making sure that everybody is still able to maintain that sense of community in a time where COVID restrictions all over the place are maybe making that more difficult.
Yeah, it's a good point, Chris. There's it's so different. In my line of work for the last 30 years been in the auction industry, so I'm used to seeing a lot of people, 300, 400, or 500 people a day for 30 days all through April, and again in June, and again in October. And then the farm shows, Agribition, obviously, the Farm Progress Show, Brandon. There's a lot of those farm shows that just aren't there this year. So things like this, and trying to get some form of involvement together to keep the community, connected. I think it's very, very important, and I really like these types of things. iPod, on Twitter is another one that you see a lot of people on Twitter that are in the ag community that you just don't see them in person anymore, and it's something maybe unique to the ag sector, whereas other industries maybe don't have that type of connection. And farmers are a pretty well connected group of people, even though they might have a difference in opinions on certain things. And the old saying, you put 2 farmers in a room, they'll never agree on anything. When it comes to something like community fire for one, they certainly agreed. Everybody dropped what they were doing and came to help. And same thing with the farm shows. That's kind of an outing, but you certainly have a lot of knowledge. You should. I think this is a lot more than they're left fun.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping, and I think a lot of other people are too, that we'll have to take this year off. But when we come back, everybody will be anxious to reconnect again and see each other face to face. So, Jason, thanks a lot for the time today, and glad to hear everybody got out safely at your incident there. And we'll see you down the road.
Thanks, Chris. Nice to see you again.